Oh my god, Star Wars Rebels. That is what we're going to talk about right now.
That's all we'll be talking about today. A lot of spoilers, guys. If you haven't seen the episode, cut this off right now.
So yes.
Because we're going to ruin it.
Disclaimer, this is full of spoilers. And I'm warning you right now. If you have not seen Rebels finale,
shut it off.
Don't watch the video.
Or watch it later.
Watch it after you've seen the finale. So, welcome back to my channel. It's been like a month that I haven't posted, as usual. But this time, we're going to be talking about Rebels.
And a lot to talk about.
Way too much to talk about, you guys. Way too much. So, where do we start?
You want to start just the yesterday's episode, or
let's go on a recap of the whole
little recap of at least this last half of the season.
Yeah, so we had 15 episodes, and it was cut more than halfway of the season, and we were like 3 to 4 months without any episodes. It felt so short because this season they were airing 2 episodes
at a time
per week.
Yeah.
Which was going by so
they cut
fast.
the whole season in half, basically. Half the time. They showed the whole season.
So when finally the season came back, what, February?
Like 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago?
It came out like February 15. It was like the middle of February, almost, middle of February. We were also excited because it was
finally coming back. But then every week was like, we only have 3 more weeks. We only have 2 more weeks.
Like, we see the first episode, which was on a Monday, and it was 2 episodes, and I was like, okay, not expecting whatsoever what happened in that return of Rebels after being gone for 3 months. I was mind blown. I was laying on my bed, crying like a little bitch, because I could not believe what I had what I have actually seen. Kanan saw his whole future in the first 10 seconds of the episode, and he dies.
And we just wait for it to play out, basically.
And his whole death carries on throughout almost every episode after. And mind you, it was 2 episodes. Boom, we got 2 episodes, finally Rebels is back. We get 2 more episodes the following week. And we were a week away from the fucking finale. I was like, what? We're only getting 3 weeks of Rebels?
It all got thrown at us like super fast.
Yeah, it was...
And a lot going on in those couple of episodes too.
It was... I was so sad because I was like, damn it, that's it, it's over. And damn, Filoni is the motherfucking man.
That he is.
Because the episode before the finale, the week prior, it was about the Mortis God. And we saw the Mortis gods in the Clone Wars. When I saw the Mortis gods, I was motherfucking blown away.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, wow, he's throwing it all the way back to
Clone Wars. We were like, wait a minute.
All the way back to Clone Wars. Into like these 3... It was a 3 episode arc, I think, right? 2 or 3 episode arc. 3 episode, I believe. And never really mentioned. Yeah, never really mentioned again. But these great characters and these great like godlike characters that they use for the Force.
Were like the balance of the Force.
They were the true balance of the Force. They were if you know, if you're going to use the Force as like a religion and a god and all stuff, these were the gods.
These were the gods.
And you know, you had these 3. Not that they were throwaway episodes, but there were these 3 episodes that never really touched on. And now years later, like, wow, what a significance
they were
those
so powerful in the Clone Wars. They're the ones. The son was the one who showed Anakin his future. And the father was the one who removed the memory from Anakin because it would alter the future.
His future, yeah.
And he had already gone dark because he did not want to do the things he saw that he would do in the future. So he had gone dark by seeing his future anyways. So the father had to remove his memory so that he wouldn't remember what he would become.
So the future would come as
I think in the Clone Wars, Ezra, in the Clone Wars, Ahsoka was someone that at the beginning we did not really like. We were not really connecting with. But as we reach the end of the Clone Wars, you completely love her as a character. when we saw her return in Rebels, we were like, shit, Ahsoka.
Yeah, she's back.
Yeah, we're like, damn, she's back.
Yeah, she's back.
And then we thought that Ahsoka was basically gone.
Yep.
I mean, even though I knew she was alive because you see her walking down the temple.
Yeah, and the last we see her, she's battling Vader. You're like, uh-oh. Like,
that was it. That was like season 2.
Yeah, I think that was season 2, yeah. So.
And that's it. We never hear from him again. We're down in season 4. And we're literally more than halfway through season 4. And...
yeah, like, where's Ahsoka? We're not going to see her.
So, we enter World Between Worlds. And that was one hell of a ride.
Yep.
Because Ezra enters this place that looks like nothing. It's black space.
Yeah, it's like space with
like
roads, kind of, but they're not even roads, and just leading to portals. It's all portals.
And what I called it, I'm gonna say this right now. I called it like a week ago. I'm pretty sure Ezra's gonna go in there and find Ahsoka somehow. I did not know that he would find Ahsoka in the way he found her. Yeah. But I thought he was going to walk into the temple. She was probably trapped in the temple or something. I don't know. But I knew he was going to find her there. And I was right.
They needed to bring her somehow.
I was right. And the way that he brings back Ahsoka was like the most mind-blowing part. Because throughout this whole trip to that portal, he's hearing voices of all eras of Star Wars. Like Yoda.
They connect everything there. They connect everything from...
seriously, like Star Wars. So, you hear Yoda, you hear Obi-Wan, you hear Qui-Gon, you hear Rey, you hear Maz Kanata, you hear, let me see who else, you hear Darth Vader,
Obi-Wan,
you hear Ahsoka, you hear Kanan, you hear these voices throughout his way into this...
From every movie, Clone Wars, from every era. Yeah, you hear something from every era, basically.
Which I thought was so freaking awesome. I was like, what a nice way to, very...
tie everything up in a
nice bow. Yeah,
just
throw everything in there to tie everything together. I thought that was epic.
Yeah.
Like, it gave me goosebumps. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Filoni blew it out of the park with that. He definitely knows how to connect things.
I was blown the fuck away because it connects everything in such a nice way without being pushy about it. So I was super stoked. But when he gets to this portal, there's an owl. And I'm like, fuck, that's the owl that's always with Ahsoka. Which Ahsoka basically carries on this owl after the Clone Wars. Like, after the whole Mortis thing happens. Because remember, guys, that technically Ahsoka is almost dead. She was basically dead. She was being consumed by the darkness. Because she was dead, basically. And the daughter was dying. And she gave her last breath through Anakin, because Anakin was the one who basically transferred the life of one to the other. But she touched Ahsoka, and then Anakin was the one that put both hands, and the life transfers onto Ahsoka. So Ahsoka's connected somehow or another
to these Mortis gods.
These Mortis gods, which is kind of crazy. When you see the owl is a representation of the daughter. The daughter has the owl like on her shoulder, and you see that also in Rebels. So this owl represents the daughter. It's the daughter in a spirit form, and this owl is with Ahsoka. And when we get to the portal, the owl is literally just hanging out on top of the portal.
Yeah,
and
the owl's there like to guide him, kind of like.
I was like, oh my god. That's the owl that's with Ahsoka. Yeah. So I was having a fucking trip with that.
Yeah, everything was there.
And then suddenly the portal just starts to like activate, and you see Ahsoka and Vader
right where we left her,
going at it.
Right where we left her in season 2.
Specifically, that exact same scene.
Because you actually see Ezra, he sees himself looking at her as he's getting locked out or getting thrown out of the room, basically by her, forced out of the room by her.
That was crazy.
Yep.
So we're seeing this whole thing, reliving that whole moment from another point of view.
And from another perspective.
And he realizes that Ahsoka was right at the edge where he can grab her. He doesn't walk into the portal. He literally just reaches out for her and pulls her out.
And it's more of an instinct thing, I think, because he sees that they make it seem where Vader's about to strike her down.
Yes.
Whether you can take it like he was or he maybe wasn't, because right when she gets pulled out, he falls.
He falls.
So I mean,
he swings, but he falls.
He swings, but he falls because she took the ground out from underneath him. So, you know, but obviously at that moment he thinks Vader's about to strike her down.
Yes.
So his instinct is just to save her, even not knowing that he could have done that.
Yeah, I don't even think he knew that.
He had no idea.
He reached out for her.
He just saw her in front. It was an instinct thing, like, hey, shit, if I can save her, I'm going to save her. And he does.
And
he pulls her right out of there.
He saved her. And basically, these Loth Wolves have been guiding Ezra to Ahsoka. And this doom is the essence of Kanan. And these Loth Wolves are also in drawings in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So what is cool about this is that it seems like these wolves also belong to that realm of the Mortis gods.
Yeah.
So
they obviously have a very big connection to the Force as well. Yeah. So
they were taking Ezra to do what needed to be done. It's Doom, which is like the big wolf.
Yeah.
He tells Ezra, restore past and redeem your future.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a whole guideline to Ahsoka. Because if he would restore the past, his future would be redeemed. And that's exactly what happened, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he needed Ahsoka there.
Basically,
he needed Ahsoka.
Kanan passing away was a way of passing the baton to Ahsoka as a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where
and Ahsoka needed to be there for to help him with that, like his last lesson that Kanan was basically trying to teach him.
Yes.
You know, that he had to let go.
He had to learn to let go.
He had to learn to let go. That was an important lesson, and I guess Kanan knew that he didn't get it through to him before he was gone, and yeah, whether it was through the wolf and then getting to Ahsoka.
Yep. He learned his lesson.
Yeah, he learned his lesson. He
learned his final lesson.
He learned his final lesson, yeah.
Which I think it's what made him so much more powerful in the finale, because he let go.
Yep. Yeah, because at that moment he lets go of Kanan. He says goodbye of Kanan.
Which is funny because...
But then last night, like, he says goodbye to his parents. You know, and that's where he learned that lesson that he needed to. He needed to move on. He needed to move on.
The same way that once he rescued Ahsoka once he takes out Ahsoka through that portal, he thinks that he was meant to be there because he was supposed to save Kanan. Yeah. And he's going to this other portal following where Kanan may be. He finally ends up at the portal and he relives the whole moment of Kanan basically letting go to save them. And he was really about to just go in and take him out, and Ahsoka makes him second guess himself and be like, you know, this is, you have to sometimes accept things the way they are, because if you go in there, not only is Kanan gonna die, but everyone else will die. It will cause destruction. And Kanan and Ezra sees that. And he finally understood what Kanan wanted him to know, to learn. And
yeah, that Kanan knew that was his moment. He needed to do that.
That was his moment.
So it was almost robbing him of that moment too. Like he needed to do that.
So then Ahsoka ends up going back because they get chased by the Emperor's. What do you want to call that?
Yeah, because it wasn't even
it wasn't lightning.
It wasn't lightning. It was like a lightning storm. And
it grabbed Ezra by
grabbed Ezra right by the leg, and she was able to cut it with the lightsaber, which was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Because the Emperor wanted to be able to go into that realm, because whoever would be in there can actually have control of the universe. Yeah. So he wanted his way into that area that they were in, and his only way to get in was through Ezra. So he was trying to get Ezra. And at that moment, Ahsoka ends up leaving into a portal, which is the exact same portal that ends up back in Malachor, whereas where we last see her, which is the exact same ending that we see on Season 2, And it's the exact same scene where you see her walking down, you see the owl. I was like, this guy did an amazing job.
He just took it right back to
the same place.
Yeah, right back to where we left it.
And then Ezra, trying to run from the Emperor's thing.
The Emperor's thing, yeah.
He escapes and goes back to Lothal, where he was. And yeah, that sums up the last 3 episodes of Rebels, and then we enter the finale, which was so unexpected. Yeah. Because
it's so not where I think anybody really expected.
I thought that whoever was going to die was probably going to be Zeb. And I was like, maybe Ezra, because there's no other story to Ezra after that. But I thought that maybe Sabine would go back to Mandalore, and that Ahsoka was going to be alive somehow.
I think most people expected that Rogue One ending, just because none of these cats were around in the other movies. You kind of got to get rid of them to a certain extent. But wow, Filoni, yeah, that's totally not what he did. That it was an amazing ending. Yeah, it really was an amazing ending. Well, let's lead up to that first.
You see Ezra at the beginning kind of meditating, and Sabine comes up to him, and he's kind of in this, he comes with this whole plan of what he wants, because he has a vision where he sees Thrawn, and Thrawn goes into Lothal and basically destroys everything. So I think he sees their own planet in destruction, and probably even some of them dying.
He kind of sees their defeat, yeah.
He sees their destruction. So he sees this whole thing in his future, basically, and he has this whole plan in his mind. We see Ryder basically being a traitor. I was so bummed. I was like, what? Fucking Ryder, really, dude? Yeah. This motherfucker saved your life.
Everybody thought, I mean, everybody else in the crew, and everybody was like, really? He's betraying us? No one knew. No one was in on that part of the plan.
I know that I had the light off here, and we were just watching in the dark. And I was like,
no, this is part of the plan. But then
this has to be part of the plan.
When all of them were like, well, you betrayed us? We're like, holy shit, it's for real. I
was like, what? No,
but
what the fuck?
No. Ezra had a lot of little side plans going on.
He had too many side plans.
Yeah, he had all kinds of side plans with everybody.
But then we find out that, in fact, it was Price who got betrayed by Ryder. And Price is on the ground with her troops and stuff, and out of nowhere, Hera comes, because there's a whole destruction going on. Things are getting crazy, and you're like, fuck, this is not looking that good, because they're fighting, and I don't see them any improvement of them trying to even win, because there was too many of them. They were really
six or 7 cats against, whole Imperial.
So you see Hera out of nowhere finally finds her way into Lothal, because the planet was being blockade.
They had a full blockade.
They had a full blockade on Lothal, and she couldn't find a way in. So she finally, Hondo helped her, which Hondo is an awesome character. Yeah, I love Hondo. Awesome, he's awesome.
He's not a smuggler. He's a pirate.
He's a pirate.
He's a pirate.
But yes, finally, they are able to make it into Lothal, and she basically destroys the ship where Price was in. And Price is freaking out at this point, but trying to keep it cool, because she's like, "Oh, I'm Price and I'm the Empire," And
she's all about the Empire.
Yes, everything is good. Yeah. Everything was bad for you, because Ezra was like, "Okay, guys, to the cave." They all go into the cave. It was Rook that goes in there.
Because Price is the one that kind of tells them, no, go in.
Yeah, go in.
They're trapped. They're inside a freaking cave.
And I think she followed.
Yeah, they all followed.
And Rook goes in there first. Rook. Goes in there first, and he's looking, and he's kind of smelling, and he sees Ezra just standing there, and Ezra lights up his lightsaber, and all of a sudden you have these beautiful looking wolves.
Yeah, you just see the eyes.
You see their eyes are glowing, and I was like,
you just see the three or four wolves.
Yes.
Go to town. I mean,
they fucking shredded.
Everyone. They didn't. It's still Disney, so they couldn't show them literally tearing a trooper apart. But they literally grabbed troopers between 2 of them and tossed them. They grabbed one by the head, and they were just flipping them around. It was pretty freaking awesome. A little gore would have been nice then. But it was very cool to see them.
Yes, it was.
And see Price taking a shit, which is no, don't let your dogs eat me.
Don't let it eat me. Don't let it eat me. I was like, holy fuck, this is crazy. These wolves were going to town. troopers flying everywhere. Yep. I was like, they don't even need. They don't need an army. They got wolves. Like, you don't need an army.
They pretty much took down everybody. I mean, yeah, the other guys helped, but the wolves did most of the work.
They take Price as a prisoner, which I thought was pretty epic. Yeah. They take Price as a prisoner, and they go into the dome. This dome in Lothal, which basically Lothal is controlled by the Empire. Which
that's a whole cool thing too, because that ship had been in our sights the whole time, and no one knew it was a ship.
No one knew it was a ship.
It was just a building. It was a building. It was like the main Imperial freaking building, whatever. And it turns out it's a ship.
It's a ship.
And actually, Filoni has come out later and said, yeah, that the whole point of that, it makes sense. The Empire comes in with the ship, brings all their troopers, everything they need, plump, land, take over the planet, and when they're done, they can just kind of go. You know, they take their shit with them. It was, and you never knew it was a ship till yesterday.
Yeah, I always thought it was like a dome.
Yeah, it was just a building.
And they even called it a dome.
Yeah.
But then you realize that it's a ship.
It's an actual ship, yeah.
And I thought that was pretty fucking fascinating.
So they initiate, what was that?
Code 13?
I think it was Code 13, Order 13, something like that, yeah, basically, which is just everybody back to base.
Everybody goes back to base. And that's what they did. Everybody went all the Imperial...
Trick everybody to come back in, lock up the base, and launch them up and blow them up.
All the Imperial workers went back to base. All the Stormtroopers, TIE Fighters, everyone you can think of goes back to base. And they were locked down inside that dome. And yeah, what happens there, it's
but then
intense.
Mr. Thrawn shows up.
Mr. Thrawn out of nowhere, because he finds out what's going on and how they have Price a prisoner, and he was like, well...
No, he finds out, but he was right on his way anyway.
Well, Rook was the person who basically let Thrawn know what was going on, because he ends up alive after the wolf threw him around. Yeah. He ends up alive, and
he's able to grab a ship. And
he grabs a ship and leaves, and he basically tells Thrawn what's going on, and Thrawn was like, well, I'm on my way.
Yeah, Thrawn's like, oh, yeah. Good to know, but I'm already on my way there.
He gives Rook orders to actually deactivate the shield. And that's exactly what Rook does. He goes into the dome, deactivates the shield.
The planetary shield.
Yeah, the planetary shield. And he tells Ezra that in order for him to let his friends live, he needed to...
Because Cousin Thrawn's genius, because that guy is, he points out when they think they have the upper hand. He's like, we have all your troops. We have all your troops, all your equipment. We have everybody. He goes, all you did was make, do a favor for me. Because now I can bombard the shit out of your city without hurting one of my soldiers. Because you have them all nicely protected. And it's great, because you see Ezra's face, and all of them like, holy shit.
He's like, holy shit.
Yeah, and that's where he turns to him. He's like, yeah, your only option, the only thing I'll take is your total surrender. Or I'm just going to bombard your city. And he does bombard a bit of the city just to prove that he will.
That he would.
Just to prove that he will.
And
so inevitably, Ezra surrenders.
Ezra, and they're trying to talk him out of it. There's a way. There's always a way. He will find a way. And Ezra knew exactly what he needed to do, and he gave the heads up to Sabine. He gave the heads up to the people that he was, in his crew, what was going to be happening. I forgot the pilot who was driving his name. It's the kid who was driving the...
Yeah, I always forget his name.
With the other clone. I forgot his name. Honestly, I'm sorry, guys, but I totally forgot his name. But
it's a big thing that he tells Sabine, I'm counting on you.
Yes, he tells Sabine, I'm counting on you. And there's a moment where she looks at him, he looks at her, and they're talking to find another way, instead of having Ezra surrender. And I think Chopper is the one who opens the hatch to the top.
Yep. Like an air vent hatch kind of thing. He just kind of escapes
Sabine looks at him saying, don't worry, I got this. I will talk to them and they won't know you're gone.
She helps distract
She basically helps distract the crew, and Ezra goes up to that shaft, gets on a ship, and ends up in Thrawn and surrenders. I knew exactly at that moment. Well, not really. I called it from before, because in the previews, in the commercials, he would say, the Force will be with you always. And it sounded very similar to the same tone that Kanan...
It's that very reminiscent goodbye.
Yeah, that Kanan said.
Like he knew it was coming. There'll be a lot of cuts in this.
So, okay. So it was very where were we?
Kanan.
So yeah, I completely called it when I heard in the commercial, in the previews, how he says, "May the Force be with you always." And I was like, this sounds very similar to the way that Kanan said, "May the Force be with you." I was like, this sounds like a goodbye type of "May the Force be with you." And I was like, I don't know. When I see that Ezra's in that ship and he is looking at Thrawn, and Thrawn's like, okay, so I have someone you want to meet. Someone wants to meet you. I was like, okay, this is not the way I thought it was going to go.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. And then you see the Chancellor. Because in this case...
Not the Emperor.
He looks like the Chancellor. Not the Emperor, like this, but the Chancellor.
Yeah,
or like
he's looking as the nice old father figure that you can trust, and you know he's trying to get your confidence, and
they basically made canon
great.
The propaganda, where the Emperor would use himself as propaganda, but not looking as the Emperor, but looking as a high sophisticated person of authority.
Somebody you would actually trust. That's how
somebody you would trust. And that is exactly what they did.
Yep.
And at first, I remember my sister walks in very confused. She's like, "What the fuck?
Like, what the hell?
Why does he look like that?
This?
What?" And I was like, "That's the Emperor.
Yeah.
He's just using propaganda."
Him,
He was very persuasive. Reminded me a lot of how he was in Revenge of the Sith. And not only Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. He was very persuasive with Anakin and trying to make him and seduce him into this, you want to save. I can show you how to save.
He's trying to help you. He's doing this for your own good. Yeah.
I can do this, and he tries to persuade Anakin, and he was doing the exact same thing to Ezra. Very persuasive, very emperorish, very emperorish, and it gave you that Revenge of the Sith feel to it because he was being that exact same way. And he ends up telling Ezra, basically, there's a portal and your family is over there.
Well, he basically brought a good chunk of the Jedi Temple into wherever the hell they were on that ship or wherever, and rebuilt it so that they could open up a portal, which they never really explained how he was able to really open up that portal without the Mortis gods and all that, but that's a whole other issue, I guess.
I don't think he opened the portal.
But
he didn't open the portal. I think what he did was, because he had Ezra touch the wall.
Yeah, he was trying to get Ezra to actually open the portal. So if
Ezra would have gone through this vision that he was having Ezra see,
Ezra
would tap into the portal and open it.
Yeah, I'm sure there was really nothing there. He really wasn't seeing his parents. The main thing, he was trying to get Ezra to open up the actual access to that portal.
Access to the portal.
So
and that's exactly what happens.
But again,
he wants Ezra to go through, because if Ezra goes through, that is the access to the portal, and that's exactly what he wanted.
That's what he wants.
So he basically, you hear his parents calling Ezra, we're waiting for you. Are you coming? And Ezra's looking at his parents, literally staring at them right into their face.
Literally all he's ever wanted.
And that is exactly what Ezra has been wanting.
But again, this goes back even to the first time that he was earlier in the episode, or the other day when he was in the place between places, or whatever it's called.
The world between worlds.
The world between worlds. I always get those confused. The world between worlds. He's actually thinking that, because he says it in his thoughts at one point. I wish things could be different. I wish I didn't have this responsibility. I wish I could just be with my parents. The Emperor was there listening to all this stuff. So the Emperor knows how to use these things against you. So
which is what he always done.
It's what he was there. He was there. It's another connection that was there that you don't really see till afterwards. Yeah, the Emperor found out all that because he was there. He said it himself. And he used his own thoughts against them to try to... But that's where we go back to what we were talking about earlier with Ahsoka being there to help him see that final lesson that Kanan was trying to show him, that he needs to let go. And that's what he does. He actually turns to his parents and says, you'll always be with me. But I gotta let go.
But I have to let go.
I have to let go.
And the Emperor has his fate. That Emperor loses his shit. Imagine.
Yeah, he loses it so much, that he's flickering.
The
hologram is
flickering from Chancellor to Emperor.
And the way they're doing it, the Chancellor is really nice lit up, and you see him all nice, and then you saw the Emperor, the dark light from underneath, really creepy.
It was so amazing to see. And
his anger was so much he was affecting the hologram.
Thing that he was in starts to crumble down, falling apart, and then you see, I think it was what, Death Troopers, Stormtroopers, they all start shooting.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Emperor comes back out. I forgot what he tells him.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what.
But he comes back out, and Ezra basically tells him that he's not gonna get his way.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
So then that scene gets cut off. We go back. Finally, there's a code 0. The boy who's with the clone driving the ghost, who's going to pick up the crew, the ghost crew, who were down on the Thought by the dome. They're like, okay, Ezra gave me specific orders to go into hyperspace, I guess. I think it's code 0. Something like that.
Yeah, because he just says who are you gonna call? And he says,
he's like,
not
who
who
are you gonna call? He was like, it's not
what?
who you were gonna call. It's
yeah, it's
what
like what?
Because
you're never gonna believe.
You're never gonna believe it. And the clone looks at him like,
what the hell are you talking about?
What are you talking about? And yeah, that was something that I was not expecting.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, Purgles appear. And Purgles are these giant space whales who live basically, who survive off hyperspace. Their energy source is the hyperspace.
And they feed off the hyperspace. Yeah.
And they shredded.
They show up and just
everything apart.
Tear up those fucking
everything apart.
Those Star Destroyers like nothing.
And then you see Ezra in the ship with Thrawn. Thrawn is looking at him, and he was like, "Whatever happens to me is going to happen to you too." And one of the whales breaks in through the window, grabs Thrawn. He's with the Force, like holding. Then these troopers come to shoot him.
Coming in through the.
And when he goes to kind of like push him away, Thrawn shoots him in the arm. And then he pushes Thrawn towards all those arms that were around him.
Towards
and
the whale. Yeah.
He tells basically the crew ends up contacting him like, Ezra. He was like, yeah. He's like, no, that he was fine, whatever. And then Hera's like, I need you to get out of there. And when she realizes it, is that the whales are starting to activate the hyperspace because their tentacles, they have these lines that start to like glow in blue. And she was like, wait a minute.
Like they're about to take off.
They're about to take off. She's like, you need to get out of there. He was like, I can't. This is what I'm supposed to do. He goes, this is what I'm supposed to do.
They put him in the same exact situation.
Same situation as Kanan.
Same.
And even the same
down to
movement,
the same pose.
Like the same pose as Kanan.
Well, he couldn't. He had to hold off both things. He couldn't leave.
At that moment, I think I wasn't breathing.
He couldn't leave.
I felt sad. I was like, okay, this is it. Ezra's going. It's over.
And again, most of this episode, I think, was like that because, like we said, going in, you assume a lot of these characters are going to die. And I think Filoni and his crew, like, they knew that, and they played with us, because there were tons of scenes where, you see a character being too heroic, and you're like, oh, fuck, this is where he's going to die.
Yep.
Oh, this is where we're going to lose this one. And there, he was doing the same thing as Kanan. You were like, this is where we say goodbye to Ezra, and heroically, and it would have been a great ending for him, He went out with Thrawn, but that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
That's not what happens.
And finally...
Our next scene is
the ship goes hyperspace mode and boom.
Everything's gone.
Everything's gone. Ezra, the whales, everything.
Yeah.
Everything is gone.
Presumed dead, probably.
What I'm thinking is that there's a moment of silence, they're just staring, and I'm like, I'm staring along with them, and I'm like...
And we're like, there's about 5 minutes left of this. What is it?
Ezra's gone. He's dead. And what happens is that the ghost comes... The boy that was driving the ghost comes, picks them up, and this ship is starting to like rise from the ground up because it's a ship. And finally, the ghost crew gets on there, and right before they're getting everybody's getting on, Ryder sees Price and goes to Price, look, you can come with us.
That's one of my favorite lines from Ryder.
And she was like, no.
Yeah.
My ass stays with the Empire,
I'll go down with the Empire.
I'm going down with the Empire.
And I guess it won't be for long. Yeah, I guess
he goes to her, well, I guess that won't be for long. And he literally gets out and gets on the ghost, and everybody's on the ghost and basically take off.
She says, I'll be with the Empire till the end.
And she goes, and Hera tells Sabine, well, Sabine, do what you know what to do. Do what you know how to do.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Do what you know best.
Do what you do.
And she basically activates the bomb, and the whole fucking thing explodes.
So they killed that.
And you see Price just disappearing in the explosion.
In the explosion and everything.
And I thought that was pretty epic. So finally.
And it's really cool because it's also like one of the first times you see kind of blue skies over the phone.
Yeah. And the ghost.
Presence of the Empire is finally gone.
It's now flying through Lothal, and a hologram of Ezra shows up. And he was like, hey guys, you guys are seeing this right now. Basically, you know, he knows that he wouldn't be there. And he was like, that he will miss them, and that he can't wait to be home. And that he had different paths to take. He had different paths in front of him, but this is the one that he had to take.
This is not the one he wanted to. But
it's not the one he wanted to, but it's the one that he needed to take. So he's like, I will miss you. He goes, I'll miss you all. I can't wait to be home. And it ends. Oh. When that happens, I'm literally like,
what the hell?
What do you mean you can't wait to be home? Like,
so he's not dead?
So he's not dead. Like, what do you mean you can't wait to be home? So I'm there literally like thinking about it. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
And again, there's like 5 minutes left of the show.
5 minutes of the show. I'm like,
what are you gonna do? How are you gonna explain all this?
You're gonna go find Ezra now? Yeah. Like in 5 minutes? Like, what's happening? Well, she's flying through. Hera's flying through Lothal. Lothal is the whole like planet of Lothal. I'm gonna say, are out on the street in awe.
Well, because it's all because this is also where they come to the realization that like, hey, the Empire's still gonna come back. Like we beat them now, but they're gonna come. They're gonna come back. But then they realize like, wait a minute, like this whole planet's behind us now. Like, let them come.
She was like, if the Empire comes back, we will fight. Guess what? Everybody literally is on Lothal. There are people with guns, and they're pointing the guns. There's a scene where this thing opens, and you see stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers are being basically taken down by the people of Lothal. So
the people rose up to what was left.
They freed themselves from the Empire temporarily, and from there we go to a journey that goes ahead really far ahead.
This is where he just totally.
Because we're like, okay, Lothal, whatever, and then out of nowhere
you get the voiceover.
Yes.
Well, you get a voiceover. You see Sabine, and you see Sabine with shorter hair, new suit, looking older,
looking way older, more mature. And
then she mentions
she is actually leaning on the same exact site that Ezra was leaning on in the opening episode for Rebels, where he's looking out on Lothal, and Sabine is that exact same scene,
and the closing scene were pretty much the same.
Were they were parallels, which I thought was awesome. Filoni, you're the best.
Yep.
So, and we see this ship that was like it's like straight and it had red markings on it with 2 X-wings
with an
on the side.
X-wing escort.
Yes, and
like we said, very Clone War era,
very Clone War
ships,
prequel vibe.
Yeah, prequel. Yeah, very.
It was very prequel vibe. So I was like, damn, this
was very pretty ships. Yeah, it was very.
And it feels very familiar. Like you've been there.
It did.
Before.
Yeah, it totally felt very.
So I looked at it and I was like, I didn't make much of it, but when I saw the red markings, I was like,
yeah, it looks.
I don't know. So in that moment, Sabine gets on a speeder and she sees the ship along with these X-wings flying, and she takes a speeder and she's flying. She's speeding her way through.
She's going to meet with the ship.
To meet with the ship. At the same time, she has the Loth Wolves also running along with her. I was like, this is awesome. But she gets into this, and she actually gets to where this ship is, and she is showing us like a art that she did, where it's like the whole Ghost crew. It's Kanan, you have Ezra with the Loth Cat, the Loth Wolves, you have her, you have Hera, you have Zeb. And she's looking at it, she's telling us like what happens. That
a recap of what, where everybody landed.
Basically, they go all the way till the Battle of Endor.
Yeah, well, this is now taking place like after the Battle of Endor. So
she explains how Hera and Rex fought
in the Battle of Endor.
In the Battle of Yavin.
Well,
they fought the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
She explained that they fought the Battle of Yavin, she explains to that
which gives canon to the fan theory of the older Rex.
Yes,
in Return of the Jedi. It's definitely him, guys.
So that's confirmed now. You guys confirmed Rex was in
definitely him.
Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
He's that old man that we see.
And apparently so was Hera somewhere in there.
Hera was somewhere in there.
Pop up in the movie.
She just, because apparently she wasn't the focus of the story.
No,
the story wasn't about
Hera. There was a lot of other people fighting
other stuff, so it's too many. It's a big world, and we're going to see Hera in there.
But she was there?
And what else happens? There's a recap of Zeb goes to his planet, where, well, not his planet, but where he has...
Yeah, where his people were...
Some of the Lasat left.
Where they ended up.
Where they ended up, which was, I think was Lyra's son, where they ended.
Because it was through
and he took Agent Callus with him, which I thought was epic that Callus even made it through, because I was like, I love Callus, I'm not gonna lie, I love Callus. I was so excited, I was like, yes, the motherfucker made it! So, yeah.
Sexy Callus.
Yeah, Sexy Callus made it. So, that happens, they go over there, and they start, I guess, their own thing over there with the Lasats. And he's accepted as Fulcrum.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? Who else were we missing? Hera has a child.
Yeah.
Where at first I was completely thrown.
Yeah, we had to do some math on that one.
Hera has a child with Kanan.
With Kanan.
And his name is Jason Syndulla.
Mm-hmm.
Which he was supposed to be... Basically, it's supposed to be Jason Solo. But
he's
that is no longer canon. Everything changed. We all know now it's Ben Solo. So now Jason Syndulla.
Yeah, it's a nice little throw to the fans and stuff that he used that name.
Which is awesome.
Very cool.
And at first I was thrown away with the timeline because I was like, at what point did she get pregnant? Like, when? But it was confirmed by Filoni that when Kanan basically died, she was already pregnant. So it fits the timeline.
In a few of those last episodes,
the kid is probably 8 to 9 years old, which fits the timeline perfectly. Yeah. Now that we think about it, it fits the timeline perfectly, because between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi is probably like 8 to 9 years, the most. So it makes sense that after the Battle of Endor, for the kid to be 8 to 9 years old. So it fits perfectly.
Yeah, it fits the timeline perfectly.
And then comes the moment that I was like, I lost my shit. Sabine,
she realizes what he told her, that I'm counting on you, and she was always, you're counting on me, but for what?
She thought it was to take care of Lothal.
Yeah, to take care of Lothal, to be there, but she realized
that it wasn't.
I'm trusting you to
come and
find me.
And
which is great, because you see, they're the two, like, the closest age, and they kind of grew up together on that ship, and they had that connection always, and that's the person that he would end up trusting the most.
Yep. And what's the most amazing part is that you see Ahsoka is the one who's in that ship, and she is standing like a true form of a Jedi, which reminded me a lot to the Clone Wars. She had that Clone War vibe.
Yeah, she had that whole cloak over, although it was kind of gray. It was kind of gray.
And she's holding a staff, and she kind of like hits the staff on the floor, and Sabine looks at her.
Very Lord of the Rings
and
staff.
Sabine walks up to her, and they leave, which now makes total sense on how Ezra told Ahsoka at the World Between Worlds, when they were leaving to the portals.
Come find me.
He was like, "Oh, they'll be so happy to see you," and she was like, "I can't come with you." And then they separate, and he goes,
when you get back,
come find me. So
it's literally what she
there you go. There you go. Basically, all of this has tied together. All of this was like incredibly nicely done. Like, Filoni is
the man tied it together.
A genius.
The man tied it together incredibly.
Filoni is a genius. He did amazing. I have to like say this over and over again. I love you, Filoni. I would like to meet you one day. I think one day I'm going to. If you're at Celebration one of these years,
we're gonna hunt you down.
I am literally going to sit down on one of the doors or one of those panels, and I'm gonna have a sign. I want to meet Filoni.
I'm not moving till I meet Filoni.
I am not moving from here until I meet Filoni. Like, I literally have to shake your hand and tell you thank you, because holy crap, man, you're awesome.
So now, granted, this is all speculation and stuff, but he did talk a little about the next series, more or less a time frame when it's gonna be, and this all lines up. I mean, it all lines
Return
up.
Return of the Jedi and after Return of the Jedi and before the Force Awakens. So that
which is exactly where he left it off now. So I mean, if we want to take it at face value anyway, but by what we saw is like, yeah, hopefully the next series is gonna be Sabine and Ahsoka looking for...
I think Ahsoka's going to have a huge role.
Ahsoka's going to be huge.
Big.
Yeah,
Ahsoka's going to be super important. I mean, not only is she... she's a Force wielder. She's not a Jedi because she left the Order, but she's a Force... And she's very strong in the Force. And I have to say also that she has a connection to this realm where the Mortis gods...
That's what I was just going to say, yeah. You implied she has a connection to the Mortis gods.
She has a connection to those.
There's a lot more to her.
The Force within her has to be very,
which could have something to do with that whole staff that she has now and all that, but
she looked great. She looked amazing.
But like we were talking and just speculating, like, wow, this opens up so much because now it opens up to like all these characters are alive during the time of, and like we were joking around later, not everything has to do with the Skywalkers, but holy shit, it can, because now all these characters are around during the time when Return of the Jedi was happening, and literally right before Force Awakens and all that happened, so we could literally see a meetup.
Yes.
Which we just talked about that earlier, and we literally got chills as we were saying a meetup of Ahsoka.
Ahsoka finally saw that her master.
Yeah, she lived long enough to see him redeemed. Yeah,
himself and go back to the light. You know.
So now imagine her and Luke
actually
meeting
talking
and sitting down, and Luke having that conversation. Like, tell me about my dad when he was a Jedi.
Yep.
That's gonna be fucking amazing. I mean, and he's literally opening all this up to where it could be a series of just these two looking for Ezra, but everything that could happen along the way.
It would be amazing because Ahsoka, I think, got her moment because Ahsoka was able to live the redeeming of her master. She lived long enough
to see the redemption of her
master.
master.
And that is epic on its own.
Which was her main weight.
Yes.
All this time, you know, and she even says it in the last episode, you know.
Master.
Yeah, like. Just like you can't save yours, just like I couldn't save mine.
I couldn't save mine. Mm-hmm. And now she sees her master redeem himself.
Yeah, like at least she lived long enough to see that.
And I think that was epic. That was epic. And then the other thing I also want to throw in is also that Filoni is a genius. I've said this before. But the Bendu.
Oh, yeah?
The Bendu was another big thing. Because there was a moment where Thrawn went in and attacked them down at their base. And this is where the Bendu was. This is also in Lothal. Mm-hmm. And the Bendu was this huge... I don't know how to explain what he looked like. It was like this huge animal. Yeah. Very, very wise in the Force. And he was nor Sith nor Jedi. He was basically a Force wielder. Mm-hmm. And he was very, very connected to the Force. And
very neutral, but very wise.
Yes, very wise. And when shit's hitting the fan, the Bendu goes up to the sky and creates this whole storm that basically helps save the Ghost Crew. Mm-hmm. And Thrawn has these people shoot up to the sky, and it ends up hurting the Bendu, and the Bendu is on the ground. And at this moment, the Bendu is looking at him, and Thrawn and him are having a conversation. And the Bendu tells him, you cannot see. And Thrawn's like, what? What can I not see? He was like, your defeat. You're going, it's like being embraced. What was it? Yeah. I have it here. Because that was something that was super, like, meaningful.
Yeah, it'll be embraced in arms.
So he says, I see your defeat like many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace. That is exactly how Thrawn,
how he goes out.
With many arms holding him down, which were those Purgle whales. Yeah. Their tentacles were all over him. Those were the many arms surrounding him in his cold embrace. In
his moment of defeat.
And I think that was genius.
But not death. Because today Filoni did confirm that they are both alive.
Both of them are alive.
He did straight out confirm that both of them do make it.
Yes.
How, where they are, what's going on, we don't know.
But they're both alive.
But they are definitely alive. So we are going to hopefully at some point see more of not only Ezra but Thrawn.
So as sad as I was for this whole season to end and to finally have like its finale, I'm so excited for what's to come because I wasn't expecting the ending to turn out this way, and for them to go so ahead of time.
And set up so much, wow.
And it connected everything so nicely and so like it was effortlessly. You didn't need so much connection. You just had those little bits and pieces that made everything feel right. And he did such an awesome job at like connecting everything. This whole time, he was basically telling us that Ahsoka was alive. I mean, Topps had these cards that were artists by the artist was Filoni, and you see Ahsoka in the portal with the wolves around it. You see Ahsoka in different moments. Like he drew this all out. It was out like for us to see.
He's been showing us everything for
that idea
since last year.
Yeah, we never grasped the idea that what was going to happen.
Since before this season started, he's been showing stuff. He's been knowing where this is going to go, and I'm sure he knows where the next thing's going to go, and the next thing's going to go. You know, like we were talking earlier. I mean, that man should probably be the creative head of freaking Lucasfilm right now. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy definitely has the power and get the money, and she's getting shit done. But that man should be in control, creative control.
Yes,
because he has a love for this stuff and he understands it. And he
makes it feel Star Wars.
He's the heir apparent of George Lucas. He's as close as we're going to get to George, and possibly a little better than George is in the storytelling.
Yes, I think he's you know. But overall, Filoni is the man. I think he outdid himself. Everything, the way that it played out was so beautiful. At the beginning, people didn't really like Rebels because it was too childish. It was too much they didn't like the animation. But once you start to really get into it, you start to really love the series for what it is. And the deeper you get into the series, the more you love the series.
Plus, I think
season 4 was the
amazing.
Best series ever. Like,
well, we talked about this earlier too, and I think he showed, you know, that what I think we all love about Star Wars and all that stuff. Yeah, we love the original movies and we love the Skywalkers and we love all this, but this was the first series, guys. You gotta think that it had nothing to do with the Skywalkers. It had nothing to do. I mean, you could say some of those characters were there. I mean, not the Skywalkers per se, but you know, you had Obi-Wan, you had the Vader, you had stuff like that. So there were those connections. But this was the first time it was something with totally new characters, totally new planets, totally new adventures, totally new villains. So much newness to it. And it worked.
And with the connection
and
to
it
the
worked
Force,
on such a level.
A different level.
Yeah, it was able to show that. Even we were live earlier and talking to some people and stuff like that, and it shows, you know, people are still bitching about the Last Jedi. And this is showing that you can tell stories beyond these characters, and you can feel for these characters, and you can make them just as important to us as Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or any of these characters. Especially with something like the animation. That's right. We were talking earlier that I would love to see Filoni do a movie and do a TV show or do anything else. But damn, let him keep doing this animation
because he's amazing.
It's not only that. It's like a book. You can tell so much more of a story.
So much more of a story.
You know, no matter what movie you're going to give him, he's going to have to compact it down. In the TV show, he's had 4 years or 4 seasons to tell the story or really build these characters and get us to love these characters and show that they don't have to all be, you know,
connected to the Skywalkers.
A relative of a Skywalker for us to care about them or for them to be important.
4 years of Rebels, and you grow a feeling to the characters. You become connected to the characters, and it's the same way that you get, and that's the same way you get connected to the characters in Star Wars and stuff. You have, you know, with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, but there's a whole other world in them, you know, and it helps you connect to other characters who are not in that same lineage. And it expands the world to all these possibilities of different characters that you can learn to love who are also very powerful in the Force. And Ezra and Kanan, and I'm going to say specifically Ezra, he had like his issues with the dark side and balance, and he learned to balance both.
Yep.
And continued to be the best he could be as a Jedi, as a Force wielder, as a Force user. And he is awesome. I'm not gonna lie, he is probably one of my favorites. Him and Kanan are probably one of my favorites. And aside from that, Ahsoka. I love Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka has been great.
The character development in this series was very great. You get attached to the characters.
Yep.
You feel for them. You know, for me to sit there and cry over Kanan dying, guys, come on, you know. And
I think you had to. I mean, if
and even
you don't,
even so, like I got all like teary eyed when I saw this whole thing that Ezra was doing, and I was like, really, dude? Like, you're gonna go down like this also? Like, why?
Which again would have been an amazing death for him too.
Yes,
he went out exactly
heroic.
like his master, heroic and everything. But you know, then he gave us this like, no, it's not going to be that easy or that simple. You know,
it's great. Filoni did an awesome
he
job.
did an incredible job on this.
I literally have to praise him because he did amazing. I mean, I'm gonna meet you, Filoni. I promise you that I'm gonna walk up somewhere one day. You're gonna be there.
I'm going to stalk your life.
And I'm going to shake your hand and I'll be like, thank you for being the creator of one of the best animated series. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be so many other series created by him that, you know, and
he's saying the same thing about the next series, probably.
I mean, the Clone Wars is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think I love Rebels just as much as I love the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's that great.
It is. It's
even if it's a kids type of, you know, animated series. I mean, it's for kids, but it still had its moments where there was a point where it did not even feel like you were watching a cartoon. You felt like you were watching.
And especially like you said, this last season, like I think Disney let them get away from the kids stuff. Like, hell, tell your story. Tell your story, and God damn it, did they?
Really, really real, and very very mature. It didn't feel childish. It didn't feel like, you know, it was a joke. It felt very mature, and a lot of the people who complained about the filler episodes, this kind of gave it a meaning. Yeah, they were not filler episodes. They were needed. You
showed it with the whales. The whales, everybody thought those were pretty much filler episodes.
They were needed. So
they became such an integral part of the story now.
We need to wrap this up because this has been one of the
longest.
I'm going to see how I can chop this down to be less than an hour because it's a lot of talking.
But yeah, there's going to be a lot more speculations and shit coming out. And every video we always say we're going to come back and do
the rumor for the next animated series is supposed to be called because Lucasfilm made a post on LinkedIn where they were asking for, I guess, you know, for
the copyrighted names.
They are copyrighted names, and basically they were asking for people to join this project. I guess they were looking for like people to join the project, and the name that was used was Star Wars Resistance. So that could be a hint to what the next animated series could be about. I'm not 100% sure, so that's the rumor.
Yeah.
Don't quote me or say that I said that it's called Resistance because it's not.
Like we said, right now it's all speculation. It's all ideas as to what's coming on. He's hinted at a couple of things. It's great that at least he confirmed these guys aren't dead. And
guarantee you guys, you're gonna see Ahsoka, you're gonna see Ezra again, you're gonna see Sabine again. I'm pretty sure you're gonna see the Ghost
characters
crew
aren't
again.
Going anywhere.
They're going to be around. Just that the difference this time is not going to be focused on the Ghost crew or Ezra. It's going to be a whole different story where they might be involved, but it's not going to be about them anymore. It's going to turn into something that's going to continue the future of Star Wars. Unless, obviously, Ezra has a more important role, which I'm pretty sure he might have, as well as Ahsoka. So we have to see what happens. But other than that, thank you guys for watching this very long review of Star Wars Rebels, because we like to ramble and talk and never end this conversation. Thank you, Filoni, for being so awesome and being a genius at what you do, because you are definitely...
You killed it. You killed it on this one.
The spirit of George Lucas, even better.
Not that George is dead.
Not that George is dead, but you're carrying on that spirit essence.
He's definitely carrying the torch for George.
Of George. And I think you're doing a way better job. I mean, even though George's, vision was awesome, but I think that this guy executes it
He works better with other people.
So yeah. You guys can subscribe to my channel. Just click on the subscribe button. Or you guys can also add the little bell to get our notifications when I post any video. I'm going to try to post more often now because,
so I was saying, we always say we're going to post more, but let's see if hopefully we get it.
So...
But see, even on this topic, I mean, hopefully maybe we'll do something else down the line, but yeah, let us know what you thought of the episode.
Yeah, let us know in your comments down below. Let us know what you guys thought. What was your favorite scene? Who is your favorite Jedi? Are you excited for what's to come? Let us know down below. And let us also know what you guys want to see next time. I don't know, whatever you guys, just comment down below. Thank you for watching. And may the force be with you.